What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Today we are going to film a very special episode because the plan is to completely reset the big overhang of the Kletterhalle Fürstenfeld, and I wanted to make a little bit of a video, documenting the process, because we're gonna set some routes and maybe we can make a little bit of a prediction, when it comes to the techniques that we want to place into the routes, when it comes to the grades that we aim to do with the routes, So I'm gonna document the process. The first step is going to be to completely clean everything up. So we're gonna get rid of all the holes.
We have to bring out 10 routes.
Yeah, so that's a lot of stuff.
All the volumes. I also want to change all the volumes on the wall. So we get a totally new and clean wall.
Exactly, so we're gonna use the Steiger, the elevator or whatever you wanna call it, 2 times actually to clean off the roots, because it's too much material to get it off one round.
Also too bright to bring out all the stuff in one go. It will take 5 hours to clean all the holes.
Yeah.
Let's get started here with some voiceover action. As you can see, we just simply went all the way up and started unscrewing all the holes, and the first problem that we have here is that our elevator doesn't go all the way up, because this wall is 16 meters high actually, and the elevator only goes up to 11 or 12 or something. And it means that roughly the last 5 meters we have to always set, respectively unset, on rope. And this is of course very draining when it comes to energy and stuff. And also we made a little bit of mistake here. As you can see, if someone's up there unscrewing holes and you're down there on the elevator unscrewing holes yourself, then you actually should wear a helmet, because maybe your partner throws something down, you never know.
Hey! Doch die bleibt für immer da.
Thorsten is very busy here already with cleaning the holes. Half of the holes is done? Nice.
Half of the holes is done.
Nice. Yeah, we have all the complete overhang is out now. Next points will be hole selection for the new routes.
Yep.
And then we are going to hit the wall again. Maybe a little bit of a break in the meantime.
Yeah. That will be good.
Okay, nice. The wall is pretty much clean, apart from a couple of holes which are needed for other routes, which are here around the corner. And as you can see, we've got here black and green and also something white. And this is of course kind of limiting when it comes to the colors that we can use for the routes that we're gonna place in here.
Und dann können wir eigentlich das blaue Volume von an einer anderen Stelle, aber auch gleich wieder hinten.
Alright, so we are now back in the Griffkammer, the hold chamber, so to say, where we store our stuff. As you can see, we've got here a couple of blue holes, and this would be color-wise kind of ideal for our spot. So we're gonna use the blue ones for the 8.
Yes.
And the pink ones for the easier stuff.
Yes.
I have the choice about
which hold you take.
Yeah, I take the blue ones.
Set blue in the green box.
Yes. First of all, we have to contemplate, of course, where we are going to hit the big volumes, where we're going to set the big volumes into this blank wall now, because we unscrewed quite a couple of volumes, as you might have seen in the time lapse. And we're just thinking about placing one big blue volume up there in the more slabby part of the wall, because it's very homogeneous and very flat, right, Marion? What do you think about it?
I think it's a good idea. Maybe we have also a second one, and we can, just build some stuff just right, I would say.
The big one, the big blue one in a vertical style on the big slab. So then we have something diverse up there.
Und es soll eigentlich auf der Platte, du kannst das nicht unter ein Schlingen bauen, weil sonst das Seil über das Volume drüber zieht. Gell? Da wo das Seil jetzt nach links spannt.
Das Grüne.
Genau.
Ja.
Da hast du eine große, da ist recht breit.
Ja.
Da bringst du das ziemlich problemlos rein.
As you can see, before you can even start thinking about getting your new roots in, you actually have to think about where to get your volumes in first, if you have volumes, because yeah, a lot of holes can actually be mounted on volumes, so you obviously have to get them in first, and there's quite a lot of consideration going into that, and a lot of working time actually goes also into setting the volumes, as you can see. This is a little bit of a onboard elevator camera here. That I had on the elevator to kind of make a few close-ups on how we mount the volumes and how we set the roots and stuff. And I think I should show you now pretty much where the time-lapse camera itself stands. That one is back here, trying to get as much of the wall on the frame as possible, in the frame as possible, and it does a pretty good job at that actually. But yeah, back to the volumes, you have to take quite a lot of considerations there. Obviously you don't want to have them all in one place, you want to have the wall as diverse as possible, and you want to protect those volumes from the ropes at the same time, because these ropes are going to wear out volumes if they run across them. Alright, so we're here elevated already on the first to the first overhang, which is the spot where we're gonna place this big structure volume tufa. We've got two accent lines, two quick draw lines, the left one and the right one, and we don't want the rope, of course, when we climb on this stuff, then that the rope yeah, basically what I just mentioned. Maybe I should mention here as well that I was just conducting a little bit of a dry fasting experiment during this day of work, which, made me a little bit crazy in the end and slurred my speech a little bit. But yeah, you're gonna notice that as well. Okay, so let's place it. Looking good! Depending on the size, shape and weight of such a volume, it can be a real easy task, to mount it real quickly, like in 5 minutes or so, or it can be a real chore, because when they get very big and very heavy, when you need a lot of screws to actually mount them on the wall, then it's getting really tricky. And on top of that, if you don't have a elevator that reaches the very top of your wall, like it is the case in our case, then how are you gonna mount such a big volume in a area where you just have access to with your rope? And yeah, this is why we basically had to go back to the floor one time, get a jug, mount that jug on this big volume here, and then lift it up with the gree. And finally I went up there as well to get all the screws in. So this was a real chore to get that big blue one up there in the slab. But then we finally could start setting our roots, and yeah, I tried to get a few close-up shots of some sequences that I set there. Here. First interesting sequence, we take a look at this kind of slopey, good enough to clip the last quick draw probably. Then rather bigger move onto this Gaston here, which is already more in the overhang, so it's not a really good hole for that. Then Gaston move to this guy here. Super slopey, not really good enough so that he can hold it, that he can make the next move from it. And that's totally on purpose, because on the bottom of this guy, we've got an undercling right there. So we can make Gaston, intermediate, switching to undercling, therefore this slopey one should be good enough, and getting your foot high and bump further onto this guy here, which up here is not so bad. Let's see if that works out. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we have here another rather interesting not interesting experience. It's an interesting sequence, I want to say. So we're coming here from this undercling sequence with the Gaston, bam. And we're gonna match this somehow. This one here, this is going to be rather interesting, because there's a side pull on the right side, and it's not so good. It's kind of a pinch at the same time. And then move around the corner to this rather slopey side pull here. There is also a foothold, as you can see down there. It's probably gonna be a flag or something. I'm gonna match this one up to this one. Not so good as well, as you can see. Intermediate, mini, crimpy. And here we have the undercling of life. And with this one we get our feet high, feet high, feet high. And then with this rather interesting guy with these 3 ridges here. This could be interesting. Intermediate, not as undercling of course, as upper side thing. Next pinch, turning the left hand from this one to undercling again, and so here we have another foothold, and here we have another foothold. You know, these are the 2 for the big undercling move. We have a really nice slabby crux here. 2 good holds. I think these are gonna be the last rest. I'm gonna place a foothold here right on the utmost corner, move up here, and then it goes onto the big diamond. We've got on the right side here a very tiny little spark, little screw on, as you can see. And we've got another one here and another one right at the top. And with a lot of pressing and pushing and stepping, we finally reach this tiny little ass screw on there. And then you got even more pressing and pushing until you can turn it around into a mini undercling and big move to the jug hold, to the top hold. So I'm really looking forward to see if that works out. Alright, so then it's now time to finally test basically what we have said there, and yeah, of course, running my mouth in the process, you know, give it a little bit of a commentary to my thought process and stuff like that. Big step, high right foot, getting the second quick draw in, a little bit of a Gaston move here to this more slopey holds here, generally kind of slopey style at the beginning at least of this route. Here we have the sloper that initiates the first sequence that I, you know, close upped during the setting process because I found it quite interesting. Generally, I have a tendency, I have to say, to make these kind of combinations: Gaston, intermediate, undercling, getting your feet high, and then reaching further to the next hold. I did just the same thing in my first ever set route, which I made a video of, in case you remember, in the gray one. And actually this kind of, you know, theme occurs again in this route as well later on. I'm gonna talk about it. That's basically the second sequence that I close up during the setting process. So this is what we are entering right now. Undercling here, right hand, big move to the 3 ridges hold here, getting the next quick draw in, and then another intermediate hold again, intermediate hold again with the right hand, turning the left one into undercling, and again big move to this you know, kind of better edge up there. And as you can see, that's dangling kind of a thing on my harness back there. This is a you know, a key, a 6 edge lock, I don't know honestly how to call it in English, and 1 hold, because I was uncertain in a sequence higher up whether I should have a intermediate hold there as well, because I didn't set one instantly, because I was not sure if it's hard enough. This route should be about 7A actually, and spoiler alert right away, it got a little bit harder. I had the feeling 7A plus. But yeah, I'm a beginner setter, so I'm quite happy with that result, honestly, because it's actually quite accurate. This is the crux of the route, basically, if you leave it at that, because you have to get your feet really high, in case you noticed. And this is basically why I took this intermediate hold with me, because when I tested the route, I decided that I had to put this intermediate hold in there as well, because also in this situation here I'm lacking 1 foothold, as you can see with my right foot, so I have to step the wall on you know, smearing style there as well, and which makes it a little bit harder there as well. So yeah, I basically finished off the route with that slabby sequence that you already saw, which I liked a lot actually, and then I finally came down again and repeated the thing with the newly set you know, intermediate hold, and then it turned out pretty nice actually, because that intermediate hold just was the right foothold for, you know, starting into the slab crux at the end. So that was basically it for this setting behind the scenes of route setting vlog, so to say. I hope you enjoyed it. Value your setters, praise them, because it's actually a lot of work to get one single rope climbing route indoors done. And this is also why, you know, a lot of rope climbing gyms are actually hardly manageable, because there's a lot of man hours, a lot of working hours going into that stuff, and you know, you have to pay these people too, you know. So running a bouldering gym is there kind of a lot easier, honestly, in that kind of regard than a rope climbing gym. So value your setters. That's it for now. I hope you're having a great time, and leave a like and a comment if you enjoyed. As always, it helps a lot. It's always appreciated, and I'll see you soon in the next one. Bye.